Erica here from In the Company of Cards, back home after my Canada trip, and really happy to be back with you all again. Um, 13.1 thousand of you have subscribed. I am blown away. I am delighted. I am gratified. I am grateful. Thank you to all of my new subscribers. Thank you too to those of you who've been here with me and who've decided to return again and again. I cannot tell you, I so appreciate that. Um, as you know, of course, there have been lots of readers who do what I do, who've, considered getting rid of their channels or scrubbing their channels um, because they're worried about repercussions, or they're worried because they said Kamala would win and she didn't win, etc. Um, I have to admit that I also thought about that and considered stepping back, but you all keep coming, and so I will do my best to give you my best. The channel will be revamped a little bit, just sort of, I think, to make it more interesting, starting maybe even before January. I'm not sure, but you can count on me being here, I would say, 3 times a week. Um, and I will do something special on Sundays moving forward in the new year, something different. I will have guests come on. So if there are, I have people lined up and I have people in mind. But if there are people whom you'd like me to reach out to ask them if they'd like to be in conversation with me on this channel, please just put your suggestion for a name in the comments, and I will reach out as I feel like it's appropriate. If you're not following me on Substack, I hope you will do that. Substack is the platform where I write, and I do a similar thing to what I do here, but again, it's written instead of visual. Um, you know, the world is wide open in terms of what I could do here with you all to help carry us through the next little while, aka 4 years. So be on the lookout for what that will turn into. A couple of things I would like to talk about today. One is international. The other, of course, is national and political. So one of the things that I've noticed in the reader community is that there's a lot of chatter about the election and its outcome, and the fact that that outcome may not be um, the final word. So people will say things like, you know, Biden, this election was stolen, of course, as it was from Harris. And so Biden will steal it back. We saw that Biden sat with 45, soon to be 47. Uh, the other day in the White House and and outside the White House, there were photographs taken and everyone was smiling and happy. And there are readers in this space who will say things like, well, that's because Biden is dark Brandon, the sunglasses version of Biden, and that what he knows that there's a sting imminent, and that 45/47 will be taken down and Harris will be installed in her rightful seat behind the Resolute desk. Now, you know, like everyone, I would like to believe that that's true. But some people will say to me, "Thank you so much for using terms that we don't know, maybe, and explaining them." So I'm going to give you a term today A lot of you, of course, will know it, but this is for all of us, and I will explain it for the ones who don't know. The term is a literary term, and it comes from when, let's say you have a situation. I'll tell you like a story. So here's a story. The story is that there is a family, and they have no money, and they're really, really hungry, and they have used their last bit of flour, their last bit of rice. The water got turned off, so they can't even, they don't even have water to drink, and everybody's going to die because, there's no hope. And then suddenly there's a knock at the door, and it's Santa Claus bringing toys and food and rehooking up the water and paying all the bills and giving the family a check that will cover all their expenses for the coming year. Well, in literature, this is called Deus ex machina. What does that mean? Deus means God, ex means out of, machina, God out of a machine, which is to say, a miracle occurs. And, it was not anything anybody thought could happen, but oof, there it is. And the family is saved from certain ruin. When I hear these readers talk about this dark Brandon theory, which is the theory that behind the scenes, um, investigations are being had and arrangements are being made to whisk 45/47 off to some undisclosed location. I don't know, Guantanamo or somewhere. Um, and that all will be right with the world. It's Deus ex machina. We are where we are because we did what we did. And what was done to us was what was done to us. So if you are here on this channel hoping that I will have seen some of this Deus Ex Machina speculation, I have seen it. If you're here thinking that I'm going to sort of give it my blessing and add to the theory, I am not going to do that. I mean, I would love to, but I don't think so. Here's what I think instead. Why was Biden smiling in his encounter with 45, 47? This is how politics works. Remember, Biden is an old school, all his life politician, the hand across the aisle kind of politician. And I think that he's trying to give the message, a different message than the conspiracy theorists want to get. But I think that the message is, look, this is how we do this. There was an election. The people spoke. I lost. Kamala lost. So what we're called to do is to put a good face on it, smile and grin and pat each other on the back and pass over the keys to the next guy. This is how we do it. We don't have insurrections, we don't, I don't know, take a dump on the House floor. We don't beat police officers. We 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 acquiesce to the will of the people. I mean, yes, apparently, even if the will of the people was thwarted, stolen, um, you know, the election outcome is the election outcome. I think that's what Biden's message is. So we are where we are. This is where we find ourselves. And I don't think, listen, if I'm wrong and Dark Brandon has a plan, he's a Scorpio, so people are saying this is scorpionic. He's just waiting. And, he'll invite 45, 47 back to the White House, and there'll be this sting operation. And, nobody can say anything yet because it's all hush hush. I would love to believe that, but I don't. I don't see it. It is what it is. We are as we always were, only naked now, as I've said before. So, but why don't we look at the cards? Because that's just Erica's opinion, and nobody here is interested in Erica's opinion. Let's see what the cards say. Um, is Biden really Dark Brandon, the Scorpio with the stinger that's going to get 45/47? I got to find out, figure out a new name to call this person. I think I'm going to go with Hines. Why? Well, 47 is just 10 away from 57. 57 is how many varieties of ketchup Heinz has. Our leader, incoming, uh, enjoys ketchup on his burgers and on his walls. So let's call him Heinz. Okay. Is 45, I'm sorry, is Biden Dark Brandon? Is he Deus ex machina? Will he be Santa Claus showering us with gifts in our darkest hour, just as we think all is lost? Okay, so I think I'm going to look for um, Dark Brandon, Biden, whoever. I'm going to look for the older man in the deck and let's see what's around him. And now that I'm back home, I can show you as I pull. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for the older man, and that will be Biden. What is Biden's plan moving forward from now until the day of the inauguration? What is his intention? Okay, so this stands for Biden. Two cards to the left, and then two cards to the right. And I really don't think that I need to pull clarifiers for this. We have the letter, we have the young man, we have Biden, we have birds, and we have the coffin. So to me, there's not really any energy in those five cards that would indicate there's going to be a ta-da moment where, our TVs will flash and say, put your news on at 4 o'clock because at 4 o'clock, something amazing is going to happen. And then there's an arrest. And yeah, yeah. This is votes. These are the votes. So there was a vote. There was an election. The next card is the young man. Uh, don't yet know what to make of that. I'll come back to it. There's Biden. We have the birds, and then we have the coffin. So, what's this about? Votes, I can mirror, to cut to the chase, I can mirror votes with coffin. Much as many of us may want to say, oh, it's transformation. They're going to discover the steel and all of the intricate ways that the steel was done, and then the vote will be transformed in Harris's favor. No, that's not what it means. Remember, I'm using the cards as I understand them, but I also use my intuition. Intuition is a big part of how I work, in case you haven't figured that out. The votes mean that for the moment, there's a full stop. There will be no Dark Brandon moment. There is nothing that Biden is willing to do to steal back the election. So if you're hearing that, I don't want you to get your hopes up and then be disappointed. This just to me says sort of The people have spoken. This this energy of, you know, men and aggressiveness and misogyny have spoken. Birds is the card for speaking. They've spoken. So, if you see Biden smiling, looking happy and relaxed, well, sure, because he's about to ride off into the sunset. There's nothing that he can do. There's nothing he's going to do. I'm just trying to keep things real. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If there's a shift in the energy and suddenly I see something differently, I would let you know. But I think that for Biden, the message is not just wait, I've got something up my sleeve. That's what my smile means. I don't think so. I think his smile means um, this is how we do this. You know, the winner wins and the loser loses, and the loser is a not a sore loser, and the loser shakes hands and hands over the keys and goes off into retirement. I think it's as simple as that. So, sorry to disappoint if you wanted another message than that, but be aware that one of the stages of grief is bargaining, you know. So what would that be? Like, I don't know, let's say, you know, somebody dies and you bargain and you say, don't make them be dead. And if you don't make them be dead, I'll give you my firstborn child. I'll um I'll fast on Wednesdays for the rest of my life. It's a bargain. And so here I think we're in this bargaining stage. And the bargain is um if you um if you make all of this go away, if you make Biden put on his dark Brandon sunglasses and open up Guantanamo for a certain someone and his company, we will be a better, more perfect union if you do that. We promise, we swear. No, 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 no. Actions and inactions have consequences. So we are now in the consequence phase. Now, speaking of the consequence phase, I'm sure you, like I, have watched um, the parade of people who have been proposed, how's that for alliteration, as members of Heinz's cabinet. Interesting, right? Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, Stephen Miller, all of the usual suspects, right? Um, why, let's just ask, as if we don't know, why has Heinz named these people uh, to his cabinet? Why has he proposed these names to his cabinet? Because, as everybody's saying, it looks like a clown car. It looks like a S show. But what's that all about? Let's act like we don't know and let's ask the cards. Why these names? Is it serious or is this some sort of, I mean, is it a joke? Why is he naming these people who may have some trouble getting confirmed, regardless of the fact that the Senate and the House now belong to the Republicans? So let's see, why were these people named? So here we go. Oh, and I think I'm going to look. I think what I'll do is I'll have we'll use the tower, and the tower will stand for no, not the tower. I was going to say the tower will stand for government, but I don't want to do that. Why don't we use the birds? Because birds are about talking, meeting. If these are his cabinet people, they will be meeting, right? So we'll use birds for that. Why were these birds proposed for Heinz's cabinet. Okay, remember we're looking for the birds and this is okay, here we go. This is Heinz's decision to name some really interesting people to his cabinet. And I'm taking the two cards that come before and the two cards that come after. Don't think I need to clarify this either. The book, the ship, here's the cabinet proposals, the sun, and the key. Sun and the key, the fraternal twins in the deck. Okay. So the book, the first card. The book is about things we don't know, secrets that are hidden, but we can mirror that. Well, I can mirror that with the last card, right? This is the first card. So I can mirror this book with the key. And keys answer questions. They answer the things that are hidden. So what is the answer? Why is he naming these people as he's naming them? We have the ship and we have the sun. I think it's really simple. He's just going to do what he wants to do. That's it. He's just doing what he wants to do. His ship is sailing. You know, everybody can see that he's the guy in charge and he's just going to do what he wants. Now, I guess I could pull a couple of clarifiers just to make it very interesting. So I'm going to pull a clarifier, a couple on the birds, on the sun, and on the key. Okay, interesting. So remember, this is the center card, and this is the card for some of those people who've been named to the cabinet that have got people scratching their heads. I mean, I don't know why we're scratching our heads. We knew this was what he was going to do. But anyway, clarifiers are the tree and the stork. And then there's another clarifier that I'll hold up in a second. So these are the people he proposes. He's trying to sort of rebuild things from the ground up, from the acorn up through the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. He's trying to create his own thing, right? Which he thinks would be better. Well, sure, because these people are his loyal people and they would be answerable to him. However, the last clarifier, it's the mountain. A lot of these people will be blocked. That Fox guy that is proposed as the head of the military, come on, that's not going to fly. Gates probably will not fly. So it's a statement more than anything that 45 is making. You know, he's kind of, you know, sloppy like that. He just kind of, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to get because he thinks he's a king, but he will be blocked. Okay. Next we have the sun, remember? And the clarifiers for that are crossroads, bouquet, and anchor. Okay. So, here he is saying, this is what I want. I want loyalists across the board in every position. But he's going to be forced to change some of those names, to go other ways, because to whatever degree there are traditional Republicans left, they will object just as Democrats will object to some of these names. So he will have to go another way, Heinz. The bouquet is a gift, and then the anchor is, sometimes an anchor can keep us safe. Sometimes an anchor can keep us stuck. I think 47 Heinz will find that this gift that he received, courtesy of Musk and the Russians and the women who said they were going to do what they then didn't do, this gift, you know, I think that he will still be able to, because it mirrors the sun. to get enough loyalists there to do some of the things that he wants to do. I mean, I would love to say that that this anchor means that the system will stand, that the Department of Education will not be abolished, et cetera. But I don't think so. I think that he will do a lot of what he says he's going to do. And then we have that key, and we have the young man and the moon, and there's a third clarifier, but I will get to that in a minute. So the key, what is the answer? The key answers these questions, right? Well, he's trying to throw his weight around, the way a young man would do, flexing his muscles, looking in the mirror and saying, I'm all that. Reputation. This is what he's trying to do. However, it's going to prove problematic. This is the third clarifier. This he will find problematic. Um, I think that there were Republicans who, believe it or not, I mean, I think they thought that if he got in, well, it wouldn't be so bad. We had him before, so we can do it again. There are things that they didn't realize that this guy was capable of. Now they see it. So they will create problems for him. But he will be creating problems for the rest of us. That's just a fact. Okay. So we reap what we sow. And we are in for some interesting times, I'll just say. But I really do not think that Hines will get everything that he asks for from the Congress. I don't think so. I think a lot of these appointments are insupportable, untenable, and will not pass muster. Okay. Finally, I wanted to look at something else going on in the world because, I know I've said, send me questions about things international. We're not the center of the universe. And we will be increasingly not the center of the universe as time moves forward. But I wanted to look at New Zealand. I don't know if you saw it, but in the New Zealand Parliament, there is a bill uh, uh, that is about a treaty. Now, this treaty is called the Treaty of Waitangi, Waitangi, Waitangi. And it was a treaty that was signed between the British and many Maori tribes. Not all Maori tribes. And the Maori, of course, are the indigenous people of New Zealand. But this treaty was signed between the British and a lot of Maori tribes, and in 1840. That's a long time ago, right? And a lot of what this treaty talks about is it deals with issues of sovereignty, and it put in certain protections for the Maori people. Well, there's a bill now, and sort of to sort of make it understandable for us, I will say that the equivalent of the bill would be if we had a bill that said that there should be equal representation for Black people in the teaching, for example, of the history of this country. Now, the so-called woke agenda, uh, and then we have had in this country the anti CRT initiatives, which say things like, I don't know, you shouldn't talk about how white people held slaves because that makes white people feel uncomfortable. There's certain historical facts that should not be taught. We should do like the South does, and we should call the Civil War the War of Northern Aggression because we don't want Southerners to feel like they were guilty of any bad thing. Well, this bill in New Zealand is kind of like that, what it would do is essentially um, sort of codify the disenfranchisement of the Maori people. For example, um, it would prioritize English over the Maori language. In the Treaty of 1840, the languages are equal, right? They're both equal. But this bill says no, 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 no. English, English, English only. For example, this would affect things like the naming of public buildings. That public buildings would not no longer be given any ever Maori names, they would be given English names. Also, 18% of New Zealand's population is Maori. Yet they remain disadvantaged, and this bill, which would amend the treaty, would disadvantage them more in terms of a lot of things like health outcomes, household income, education level, incarceration rate, mortality rate. The Maoris are way disadvantaged already in terms of those things. This bill, which would rewrite the treaty, would just make that worse. Now, to complicate things, what's interesting is that this bill was written in both English and Maori. And the thing is that the Maori language prior to colonization was only an oral language. It was not a written language. This means that there are sort of discrepancies in the English version and the Maori version. So that's problematic. And it's problematic in a way that advantages the English, obviously, because that's how colonialism works, is it not? So anyway, the other day, the bill made its first appearance on the floor of the New Zealand Parliament. And the guy in charge called on the a Maori representative and asked if she supported the bill. At which point she rose from her seat and then was accompanied by others on the floor, as well as in the gallery, overhead. And they did a haka. And you've seen the hakas. There are hakas to celebrate people, to welcome them home, and to indicate displeasure with something. And they are those sort of dances, and the facial expressions are really intimidating and scary. And hakas are amazing. They're beautiful, and so they did the haka on the floor of the parliament, at which point parliament was suspended and the gallery cleared. Obviously, the Maori had communicated, as only they can, their displeasure with the introduction of this bill. And so, what I would like to know, I would like to look at the bill, and I would like to see where it's going to go, because again, you see ripples of this kind of thing all over the world. Our version is getting rid of CRT, um, getting rid of affirmative action. It's the same kind of thing. So they're trying to pull a fast one on the Maori people, and the Maori people are not having it. So I would like to know what is the future of this bill? Okay. And again, the bill is called the Waitangi bill. So if you'd like to look it up, go ahead. Okay. So I'm just cutting the deck into three. And I'm going to use, of course, the letter, and that will represent this bill that the English, so to speak, the English speakers, the descendants of the English colonialists would like to put forward. So that the letter will represent that. Okay. So I'm just flipping cards over till I get to the letter. There it is. Okay, this stands for the Treaty of Waitangi, the bill that wants to amend the Treaty of Waitangi, which would disenfranchise and disadvantage the Maori people of New Zealand. taking the two cards that come before. Okay. So the cards that we have are the anchor, the star, the letter, the birds, and the bouquet. So the anchor, this is the first card, and I can mirror it with the bouquet. So this is making me think that for the time being, the treaty will stand as it is. I'm not saying that maybe it doesn't need to be amended and that the Maori would not be open to that, but not the amendments that are being proposed. That's just, come on. Uh, so I think that the Hakka, the fact that the Maori have unequivocally communicated their displeasure with this for the time being will cause the bill to just stand where it is, or the treaty, I mean, to stay as it is. Now, the second card after the anchor, we have the star. And the star is the card, of course, for the future, and it's mirrored by birds. There will be continuing talks moving forward in the future. New Zealand has been sort of touted as this bastion of what? Um, pluralism, um, diversity, people living peacefully together. Um, they have loved that reputation, but they are not immune from the other forces in the world that are seeking to tamp down minorities. I think we know what I mean by that. So they're not immune to that. The question is, will they stand? Will New Zealand want to burnish its reputation as this diverse place, or will it go the way of other nation states and with this sort of conservative, scared crackdown against people who are not white? So I think I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers, just two for each of the final three cards. So I pulled cards, oops, on the treaty. Uh, and we have the Tower, which is the card for government, and we have the Sun. I think they will, you know, I think they will want to look like a beacon. Again, their population is 18% Maori. Maoris have the worst outcomes in terms of those things that I listed, just like, disenfranchised people everywhere, right? But New Zealand will want to be that shining city on the hill, so to speak, that we clearly are not. Now, there will be lots of conversations. As I said, this is the card for talks, conversations. They will be really difficult and protracted with that snake there. However, the last clarifier for this card is the stork. The stork indicates positive change, so that's very hopeful. And then the last card in the original line is the bouquet. And the two clarifiers I've drawn are the heart and the fox. Um, hmm, the heart makes me think that all concerned will be happy with the outcome of the talks around this issue. Um, the fox is sometimes a great card, but sometimes it's not. So I'm going to draw a clarifier for the fox and then hold it up together with the fox. So let's see what we get. Yeah. When I see the fox together with the book, I think that there will be noises made in an attempt to placate the Maori. But you have to beware of fox sometimes. There are wheels within wheels. Remember, this is the card for things hidden. and secrets. So, in other words, the white people in the government could say, you know what, we'll throw them a bone. We'll let them think that we'll let this issue rest for the moment. We'll let the treaty stand as it is, maybe, and we'll have talks and stuff. But really, we have a goal, and that goal is the same goal as, I don't know, a lot of these people that we have seen enter our government of late. You know, our goal is the goal of Peter Thiel, the goal of Elon Leon Musk, the goal of Vance. You know, colonialism and imperialism are not dead anywhere, and including New Zealand and including mindsets in our own country. So, but the Maori are smart people, and I don't think that they will allow the wool to be pulled over their eyes, and I don't think they'll agree to something that they shouldn't be agreeing to. But this will be protracted. I think it's really worth keeping an eye on to see which way New Zealand ends up going. All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to come on briefly to look at this the situation in New Zealand. I wanted to do my best to disabuse any of you who are thinking that Dark Brandon is going to strike and that Kamala will rise again. I don't think that's going to happen. I wanted to thank you all for hanging in there with me and welcome all of you who are new. I hope that I will be providing moving forward content that you will find helpful and hopeful and honest and true. If there are issues that you'd like me to look at with my cards, please put those in the comments. If there are guests that you'd like me to invite to my YouTube, please do that as well. Uh, you know, maybe I'll come on and do like I did Sunday and read poetry or a short story or something, and y'all can enjoy the ASMR of my voice because people say it's ASMR. Who knew? Um, but I'm delighted to have you all with me, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.